All right, guys, so we have more WNBA players who are not stars coming out and addressing the potential lockout, as we are just a couple days away from the deadline. We are only a couple days away, guys. So we got some more players coming out. Steph Talbot, a WNBA veteran, not a star, someone who was not welcome at Unrivaled, someone who was not welcome to Project B. I already showed what Deja Kelly had to say, as she let it be known she is scared, literally scared, for a lockout.
The quiet has been deafening, but suddenly the truth is being revealed. Deja Kelly recently aired her thoughts, and what she said has sent shockwaves across the league. She has revealed that she is actually terrified about the WNBA lockout, which is now just a few days away. And you must understand that this is not an abstract negotiation or an easy game for her or the numerous other players who are not the league's multi-million-dollar superstars. This is their career. It is their livelihood. It's their one and only chance at professional basketball. And now that rage is spilling over, targeted squarely at the WNBA, the same institution that is supposed to safeguard them. These players accuse their own union of neglecting its most vulnerable members by driving this extraordinarily high-stakes negotiation to the brink, which might ruin careers and throw the entire league into chaos, leaving so many of them angry, abandoned, and entirely alone.
A lockout. Now we have more people coming out and stating more of the same. We got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. Sorry, I am on the road. It's the holidays. I'm not home, not at the studio. Got to do what I got to do. So I'm going to read y'all this article, right? And I'm going to put this article in the description on the video so you can look at it yourself. And the first thing it says, fears for WNL stars with looming WNBA agreement. Now, these are some players who play professional.
And she is not the only one. More and more non-star WNBA players are speaking out, bravely echoing Deja Kelly's honest and unvarnished anxiety that the December 1st deadline is more than simply a date on the calendar. It's a ticking time bomb that might destroy their entire universe. Players such as Steph Talbot, a seasoned WNBA veteran, are making their positions perfectly apparent. A lockout would not only be awful, but also completely destructive. She represents a large and important portion of the league. The players who are not among the elite few, and who cannot simply weather a financial storm. Their collective outrage is revealing a deep, terrible schism. A significant divide has grown up between the union's leadership and the average player, instilling an undeniable and terrible sense of betrayal in individuals whose entire careers are now precariously balanced. This has become a true watershed moment, a test of player unity that the union appears to be failing.
I'm going to put this article in the description on the video so you can look at it yourself. And the first thing it says, fears for WNL stars with looming WNBA agreement. Now, these are some players who play professionally in Australia as well when the WNBA is not in season. So they are seeing it as, once this agreement is done, they could potentially only play in the WNBA now. They won't have to play in another overseas league and all of that. All of the things that a lot of these women were claiming, the reasons that
Steph Talbot isn't playing games. She realizes that her own career is nearing the finish rather than the beginning. You can hear the urgency in her voice. She sees the clock ticking down, not only on her own time in the league, but also on the futures of many other players. The idea of losing a full WNBA season, particularly the 2026 season, is simply unimaginable to them. Players who are just starting out or the end of their careers require continuous performance. They need a constant wage and, most importantly, a solid league on which to rely. They claim that the WNBPA's current strategy ignores this critical fact. It prioritizes a high-risk, high-reward bet over the immediate security that the vast majority of players demand in order to maintain their professional careers and support their families.
Is that a lot of these women were claiming the reasons that they wanted more pay from the WNBA so they didn't have to play overseas, but they're about to get more pay from the WNBA, but they also want to be able to play in Unrivaled and play in overseas in Project B. These players actually meant it. They did not want to have to play in other leagues beyond the WNBA. So let's take a look listen to the article here. It says the WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement will set a precedent for other women's sports, but risks taking talent away from WNBL. The American League is currently in negotiations with...
But let's get to the main question here. Who is actually driving the WNBPA's strong, tough stance? The whispers of deep-seated conflict of interest have turned into loud yells. Think about it. The WNBPA's president, Nneka Wnba, is overseeing a discussion for a new CBA. At the same time, she has accepted a multi-million-dollar contract to be the face of Project B, a competing league endeavor. This evident dual status has sparked indignation among players, who see their union head personally benefiting from an outside business while making choices that may harm their primary source of income, the WNBA. The optics of this situation alone are devastating, severely destroying trust at what is perhaps the most vital point in the league's future.
It says the WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement will set a precedent for other women's sports, but risks taking talent away from WNBL. The American League is currently in negotiations with Players Union to settle on a CBA by December 1st. We just a few days away, guys. And it says, and has reportedly offered to increase the maximum salary to more than $1.1 million. Base wages are expected to jump from $220,000 to $338,000. The average salary will more than triple its currently $130,000. Okay, whatever. However,
And believe me, the conflict of interest extends beyond Nneka Wnba, Breanna Stewart, and Nafi Sakia, who are also key members of the WNBPA's negotiating board. Are they the co-founders of Unrivaled, another competitive league? This entire incident raises some quite significant questions that must be answered. Are these elite players actually advocating for the best interests of all WNBA players, from the highest owners to the last guy on the bench? Or are their selections strongly affected by their own financial investments in these alternative leagues? The rank-and-file gamers, those without these attractive alternate revenue streams, feel entirely abandoned and unrepresented. They are beginning to fear that their future is being jeopardized by a small group of people who have little to lose financially.
We have been saying we feel like it's a conflict of interest where you have Nneka Wnba accepting a multi-million-dollar deal with Project B while being the president on the board for the WNBPA negotiating a new CBA. You got Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier who are on the board, but they are co-founders of a competitor league, Unrivaled. All of these things we've called a conflict of interest, and now we are starting to see the players that it would truly affect. I mean, really affect. If there is a lockout, we're starting to see...
You see, the perceived conflict of interest lies at the heart of all the irritation. The celebs enjoy unrivaled wealth. They hold the Project B funds. They have a lot of endorsement money. They have a sizable cash cushion that allows them to sit out the full 2026 season without suffering any serious personal costs. The great majority of WNBA players, however, do not have this luxury. For many, missing a single season meant severe financial hardship, a complete loss of career momentum, and, for others, the premature end of their professional goal. This reveals a fundamental and frankly unfair imbalance of power and privilege inside the union that was intended to protect all of its members equally.
That it would truly affect, I mean really affect, if there is a lockout. We're starting to see them come out and speak. I read you guys the article where Deja Kelly said, I'm trying to establish myself and show that I can play in the league, and I'm trying to have a job. I'm trying to have a job. I'm not trying to go no 2026 season. I'm playing in Athletes Unlimited, and I'm trying to make me a WNBA roster spot. I want a consistent job. A lockout is not beneficial.
I need the job. It's a straightforward, forceful statement that cuts through the noise. Meanwhile, indications are circulating that the WNBA has put a very hefty offer on the negotiating table. We're talking about a proposal to increase the maximum compensation to over $1.1 million. That's a monumental, life-altering leap. Base salaries are likely to rise dramatically, with the average pay more than tripling from its current level of around $1. For so many gamers who are struggling to make ends meet, this offer offers a life-changing chance. It's an opportunity for true financial security, a chance to properly focus on their WNBA careers without needing to earn extra money by playing overseas during the off-season, which directly answers a long-standing and crucial player desire.
The deal done. I want to get a deal done so that I don't have to do this. My body feels like crap. The WNBA is offering, I think it's a fair offer. And with that money, I would not have to come over here and play in the WNBL. I could rest and I can do training and get ready for the next season. I don't have to beat my body to hell to rush overseas to play. I don't want to lock out. Let's sign the deal. JC Shelburne, not welcomed at Project B. Not a part of 3-on-3 Unrivaled.
Despite the fact that this tremendously attractive offer is right on the table, negotiations have absolutely halted. The WNBPA union is reportedly proposing that players share in the league's income rather than accepting much higher fixed compensation. While income sharing has some long-term promise, players such as Deja Kelly and Steph Talbot face enormous immediate danger. A promised much higher fixed wage is a real lifeline that they can grasp straight now. They simply cannot afford to wait for a speculative future revenue share, especially if pursuing it results in a crippling lockout that pays them nothing. This insistence on revenue sharing over a substantial, fast, and massive salary rise is exactly what enrages a majority of the league. The toll on the players' bodies is another vitally crucial issue that must not be overlooked. Take Jade Melbourne, a 23-year-old member of the Washington Mystics. She openly confesses that her body is already feeling the strain of playing a whole WNBA season, and then rushing overseas to play in the WNBL in Australia. This year-round grind is a direct result of current WNBA pay, which are simply insufficient. The proposed new deal, with its considerably better pay scale, provides a true solution to this cycle of physical and emotional weariness. It would provide athletes with much-needed recuperation and the ability to practice intensively throughout the off-season, extending their careers. Melbourne's plea could not be more plain. She remarked, "My body feels like crap." She believes the league's proposal, the fair offer, is a solution. She understands that increasing WNBA salary is a direct way to reducing the need to, as she puts it, beat my body to hell to rush overseas to play. She desperately wants this agreement signed, not a lockout that benefits no one. Her perspective exemplifies how the WNBPA's negotiation tactic, this relentless demand for more, is deliberately endangering its members' physical well-being. They are rejecting an agreement that would give instant relief and tangible long-term health advantages to the sportsmen they claim to represent. And here's something extremely important to mention. Players such as Jade Melbourne, Steph Talbot, and Deja Kelly are not associated with Project B or Unrivaled. They are not part of the privileged inner circle that has many income streams and safety nets. Their voices capture the raw, uncensored reality of professional women's basketball. The vast majority of its players are only concerned with the basics, finding work, making a living income, and staying healthy enough to continue playing the game they enjoy. The WNBPA's evident failure to appropriately represent these fundamental concerns is a huge omission, and it contributes to the growing perception that the union has lost touch with its membership. The numbers just do not deceive. The WNBA has considerably more middle-of-the-pack and fringe players than household superstars. It is not even close. And yet, their concerns, interests, and livelihoods appear to be utterly ignored in favor of an agenda championed by a select powerful few. The entire purpose of a union is to safeguard all of its members. However, the current disagreement appears to have been designed especially to benefit a wealthy minority. This blatant disparity in representational authority is now producing considerable internal conflict, threatening to shatter the very solidarity required for any successful collective bargaining agreement. Let us not forget about the players who are on the verge of establishing themselves in this competition. Players like Deja Kelly. They simply cannot afford a 2026 season lockout. They need that game time. They want exposure and a stable salary to cement their place in a league where careers can be brutally short. For them, a lockout is more than just an inconvenience. It has the ability to end one's career. Full stop. The striking and frustrating contrast between their vulnerable circumstances and profound financial stability of the great players who are leading the WNBPA discussions cannot be ignored. It demonstrates a profound misunderstanding, or Worse, a complete disrespect for severe economic circumstances that most WNBA athletes endure. The CBA has huge international consequences that cannot be underestimated. Many WNBA players, notably those from Australia such as Talbot and Melbourne, spend their off-season playing in the WNBL. A rich new WNBA contract might mean they no longer have to play overseas, allowing them to rest their bodies and concentrate completely on their American careers. While this would be extremely helpful to the WNBA players themselves, it risks diverting top-tier talent away from international leagues such as the WNBL. However, for the players, the ability to prioritize their own health and devotion to the WNBA is a huge personal triumph, which is why the WNBA's present offer is so appealing to them. But think wider, since this agreement is about more than simply the present WNBA players. Its significance extends well beyond that. A really groundbreaking agreement, one that significantly boosts player pay and elevates the league's professionalism, would set a powerful and inspiring example for other women's sports around the world. It has a potential to create a new standard for how female athletes are recognized and compensated, prompting other leagues to follow suit. The possibility to set such a historic precedent is enormous. However, the WNBPA's internal splits and questionable negotiation practices actively undermine this greater transformative potential for women's sports globally. And the timing could not be more important. The WNBA wants to add 5 new clubs by 2030, including one in Toronto as early as next year. This entire ambition for expansion is dependent on the league's ability to attract and maintain great players. However, the league is now struggling to attract some of Europe's greatest players, who frequently find it more financially advantageous to stay and play in their native nations. A strong new CBA with truly competitive pay would be a total game changer, transforming the WNBA become an indisputable global destination for elite women's basketball talent, ushering in a new age of expansion and competitive parity. As these players have mentioned, once the WNBA delivers the highest earnings and the best salary cap, the league will reach a whole new level. And let us be clear, this isn't just about individual player money. This is about enhancing the whole sport. Attracting top-class talent from all around the world results in better games, which lead to larger audiences and, in turn, more investment. The current halted negotiations, prompted by the WNBPA's demands, are actively impeding this amazing upward spiraling potential. The majority of players prefer to exploit this moment of opportunity rather than risk it with a lockout, demonstrating a clear and worrying split in strategic vision inside the union. The cacophony of voices from international players, from league veterans to young and rising stars, is becoming more united and loud. They don't want to lock out. They want the agreement signed, and they want it done now. They plainly regard the WNBA's offer as a fair, life-changing chance that will benefit their health, income, and long-term prospects. Their desperation is evident, and it completely contradicts the strong approach adopted by their own union leadership. This growing mutiny among the ranks represents a significant breakdown in player solidarity, as more players choose to prioritize their immediate real-world necessities over the potentially abstract long-term rewards desired by the WNBPA's Style E board. The plain reality is that the WNBPA's current approach appears to favor the interests of a small number of stars, persons with alternative income streams, and vested interests in competing businesses. This occurs at the expense of meeting the great majority of its members' immediate and critical need. Failure to protect the interests of these middle-of-the-pack and fran players, who are simply looking for a steady job and decent pay, is a grave violation of the union's most fundamental and sacred duty. This is exactly why the outrage is growing. The players feel unprotected and abandoned by their own leaders, resulting in an entirely untenable and tragic situation. As the deadline approaches, the WNBA faces a genuinely defining moment. And this is more than simply contract numbers on paper. It is all about the league's soul. It's about who is protected and whose voices are heard. The WNBPA's inability to unite its ranks and protect the livelihood of all of its players risks destroying the fundamental foundation of women's professional basketball. The rage of those who stand to lose everything is evident, and they are demanding fast action before the ideal of a thriving, stable WNBA becomes a complete nightmare for the great majority of its dedicated athletes, jeopardizing the league's hard-earned momentum.